Living things are connected to each other. From the small organisms to the largest creatures, all living things require energy to survive. Matter and energy pass from one organism to another, connecting living things like links in a chain. Food chain is a simple feeding relationship among organisms. A food chain shows a single pathway from the producers to the consumers and how the energy flows in this pathway. Every organism is a part of a food chain. All of the energy in Earth's food chain comes from the sun. The sun's energy reaches the Earth in the form of heat and light. Green plants utilize light to make their own food by the process of photosynthesis. They are called producers. Food chain begins with a producer. In terrestrial habitats, for example, grass is a producer. Primary producers make up the first trophic level. A trophic level is the group of organisms within an ecosystem which occupy the same level in a food chain. Animals that cannot make their own food consume other organisms. They are called consumers. The second trophic level of a food chain is a consumer. Organisms that occupy the second trophic level feed on producers or plants, and they are called herbivores. A herbivore is called a primary consumer. Primary means first. A primary consumer is an organism that feeds on primary producers. When animals feed on plants, some of the energy the plant captured from the sun is transferred into the animal's body. Secondary consumer is the second consumer in the food chain. Secondary consumers get their energy by eating other animals. For example, when a rabbit is eaten by a fox, the fox is a secondary consumer. When the fox eats the rabbit, part of the energy that the rabbit got from the grass is transferred to the fox. In this food chain, the rabbit eats the grass and the fox eats the rabbit. The energy from the sun that's captured by the grass is transferred to the rabbit and then transferred to the fox. Each animal in the food chain uses a lot of energy from the previous level instead of passing on it. In a food chain, an animal passes on only 10% of the energy it receives. The amount of available energy decreases at every trophic level, so each level supports fewer individuals than the one before. Let's look at another example of terrestrial food chain. In this feeding relationship, the grass is eaten by the grasshopper or primary consumer. The grasshopper gets eaten by a bluebird. The bluebird gets eaten by a tertiary or third level consumer, a snake. The snake is eaten by an owl. Tertiary consumers often occupy the top trophic level and so are predated by no other animals. In this case, they are called apex predators. However, when they die, their bodies will be consumed by scavengers and decomposers. In this food chain, the owl is tertiary consumer. Lions, sharks, eagles, and crocodiles are some examples of tertiary consumers. When animals die, their body is broken down by decomposers. Decomposers are usually bacteria and fungi. Decomposers break down dead plants and animals into nutrients in soil. The nutrients are taken by plants for growth and other functions. In nature, there is a complex food chain. This network of interconnected food chain is called a food web. The arrows indicate the direction of energy flow and the connection between organisms. Within an ecosystem, the energy that is present within its organisms is passed through a food chain or food web.